Hello everyone. Before you watch my review, I just wanted to let you know that I have an update. In my review, I said that it was not on UMC, but it actually is now. At the time of my recording, UMC, which is now called All Black, spelled All BLK, did not have it available for streaming, but now it is. You could also see it on Redbox like I did. It's also on like Vudu and Amazon Prime. So if you want to see the movie, you can. My review, as you're about to see, is filled with spoilers, but it's scathing. And I watched this movie again with friends, and we laughed at how stupid this movie is. So if you like bad movies, like laughing at bad movies, stupid plots, things like that, then you're really going to enjoy this movie. But if you don't like stupid movies, then you're going to thank me, hopefully in the comment section, for saving you from wasting your time. But this can be a fun movie if you know going into it not to take it seriously, and that is going to be extremely stupid and ridiculous. And it cost $4 million to make. I'm like, where'd the money go? Is this like a tax write-off or something? I don't know. But I'm wasting time when you really want to hear about this movie. So let me go ahead and send you over to my review. Hello everyone, I'm Phoenix Tremayne, and today I'm going to review Always and Forever. But first, if you haven't done so, please take a minute to subscribe. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Please hit that like button so that YouTube knows this is a good channel for reviews and they can recommend this channel. I have two YouTube channels. My other channel is doing well. We're at 26,000 subscribers, I think, now. And that's mostly for soaps and things of that nature. So if you like dramas and things, check that channel out. The link is in the description box. And this channel is going to be everything else, like movie reviews and just talking about life and a whole bunch of stuff. So here we go with the review of Always and Forever, a movie I was actually looking forward to till I saw it. It was brought to us by UMC, which is the Urban Movie Channel, which is actually changing their name to All BLK. All Black is their new name. And BET Plus Original Film. So this was directed by Chris Stokes. Yes, that Chris Stokes. And it was written by Marquise Houston and Chris Stokes. The genre that is listed under suspense, but it's not that suspenseful. And you can rent this on Redbox, or you can rent it on Amazon. So if you want to go against my recommendation and watch this movie for yourself, then yeah, go on ahead and pay that like $6.99, and you know, maybe you like bad movies. If you're a person that likes bad movies, pop this bad boy in. So this movie is starring Cynthia Addai-Robinson as Nicole Taylor, Robbie Jones as Brian Taylor, Lauren London as Tammy, Deborah Arondi as Summer, Vanessa Curry as Brandy, Rossi Diaz as Miranda Scott, Wood Harris as Danny, and Loretta Devine as Elda. They definitely waste Loretta Devine. She just came and got a check, but they didn't really give her character much to do. They also did not give Lauren London much to do, despite the fact that she's all over the marketing for this film. Lauren London, she's in the film, but she really has nothing to do. She doesn't push the story forward, and she's not part of the characters that are involved in the overall plot. She's just kind of like some random friend they added to the film. Now, the movie basically is about these four girls. They do something bad in summer camp, and then now, like, I guess 14 years later, they now have to face the consequences of what they did. It's just like I Know What You Did Last Summer, premise-wise, or, you know, movies in that line like Prom Night. It's that same genre of, we did some things when we were kids, now we're a little older, and is coming back to haunt us. If you watch the trailer for this movie, it looks like a straight up horror film. It looks like the black version of Scream. That is not what it is. And I do not recommend this film because it's nothing but tropes. It's filled with everything you've already seen in movies that did it better. And then that's going to be the end of my spoiler-free review, because the only way I can really tell you how horrible this movie is by going into spoiler territory and letting you know why I thought it was a bad movie. So now you got your spoiler warning. We're going to get into it because I got a whole bunch of notes. So my first note says the girls have an early scene. It shows them at summer camp and that they're planning this prank, and they all agree to do it. One of the girls, Nicole, she's the only one that doesn't really want to do it because she's the good girl. She doesn't want to do it, but she feels pressured to do it. We don't see what the prank actually is. They just say that they're going to be friends always and forever. Then the movie fast forwards to like 2020, and Nicole is getting married to this guy she met in 4 months. They met, and 4 months later they got married. And now, I guess the movie, without really telling us time went by, we just kind of heard it in the dialogue that, 4 years have passed since her wedding. There really was no time shift felt. We didn't even need to see the wedding. That was like a waste of money showing the wedding. They could have just showed them already married. But throughout the movie, they constantly say the title over and over again. So the groom says, I'm going to love you always and forever. And people don't stop saying always and forever all the way to the very end of the movie, where we see always and forever as part of the clues of the murder mystery. Although it's not much of a murder mystery if you're paying attention. This is kind of like a Lifetime movie where, it's just a paper thin plot. It's not rocket science figuring out who it is. If you look at the height and weight of the killer, then you already know who did it. Point blank, period. So they had some unnecessary dialogue at the beginning of the movie with the 4 girls being overly sexualized, talking about how trying to lose their virginity and they didn't get some and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, they're calling each other hoes. And when you look at the overall movie, it was not necessary to have those little girls doing that dialogue. It didn't add to the movie. It didn't take away from the movie. It just felt very unnecessary. It felt like women are going to watch this film, and as soon as they see the beginning, they're going to be like, a man wrote this. A man wrote this. And as soon as they look at the casting, where all the characters, except for Lauren London, all the other characters, and Loretta Devine, of course, look like they're video vixens. They all got the little short dresses and look like they just stepped out of like a music video. So I think women aren't going to like this on that whole Lifetime level. I think they're going to be getting in their feelings and not really liking the visual aesthetics of how this is being set up. It's like on the verge of being masochistic. So we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about one of my number one pet peeves in any horror movie, suspense thriller, suspense movie, any of those type of things. I really hate this moment in the film when somebody just starts calling out hello when you know that you should probably be running, or you should probably be calling the police, but you just gonna be like, hello? Hello? So there's only one time, which you see in the trailer, that you actually see one of the girls. You never see any of the murders. It's very PG-ish. You don't really get to see much of anything in the way of violence or anything. So you see one girl being assaulted, kinda, because she don't really get assaulted. You see her get grabbed. But the way the scene is set up is she's in her house. She's got a freakum dress, and she's talking about how she's gonna wear this dress and she's gonna get some. And then she hears her car go off, and so she looks, and the key fob's not working. So she goes out to her car, and she gets inside the car, and I'm like assuming, okay, somebody's gonna need a back seat and jump out like the urban legend. That didn't happen. Instead, she finally gets the car alarm to stop going off, and she looks to her left, and there is a man in a hoodie with a mask on, just staring at her. So what does she do? She says, "Hello," and then he doesn't say anything. So then she starts walking towards her house, and then she stops and she looks at him again, and she's like, "Hello." And then he starts coming towards her, so she runs in the house and she locks the door. What she does not do is call the police. She calls her boyfriend, who does not answer. So she runs upstairs because she wants to look out the window and see if he's still standing out there. She's got her phone in her hand. She still don't call the police. He's still standing there, and she still don't call the police. So then we see the man is now in the house. So he walks across, and you see him walk by the door. She looks up, and he's no longer outside. He's now inside the house, but she don't know it. So my first thought is, okay, he teleported. I'm being sarcastic, but you know, in these movies, especially horror movies, although this is technically a suspense movie, the killer will be way, way far back, and then next thing you know, he's like standing right there. So he does one of them numbers. So he's in the house, and then the lights go off, and she still don't call the police. So she walks down the steps, and she checks the front door to make sure it's still locked. She has more than one door in her house, but she only checks one door. Behind her is the killer. So she is slowly looks around, and she sees the killer, and she starts running. The killer does not run after her. She runs up the steps, and she does the typical horror movie thing, and she falls. But the killer's not behind her, so she's able to get up and close this flimsy door to her bedroom that anybody could kick in, or even take a butter knife and jimmy it open. So he starts shaking on the knob. So she opens up her bedroom window, and you see her put her foot out. And clearly, she's got one foot on the ground and one foot in the house. So does she just completely go out the door? Because you hear the handle stop shaking. So she's just in the window, crying. So she's trying to go out the window. She's just sitting in the window frame crying when the killer just snatches her out the window. You see that in the trailer. And then they say, oh, she committed suicide, when the police go over the place. Which is why I guess they didn't show him like kicking the door open or nothing, because they wanted these murders to be secret, like that they killed themselves. It didn't make sense. The plot itself doesn't make sense. So the second and third murder, we don't even get to see either one of those. We don't get to see the second or third. We just kind of see that the girl is in a store, and then next thing you know, the police are there, and she's got a needle on her arm. The second suicide, overdose, was the second one. The third one, we don't even see at all what happened in that room. We just see the police in there, that scene in a trailer where she looks in the room and starts screaming. We don't know what happened in that room with the third girl. We just know that she's gone. So we don't get to see a whole lot of suspenseful scenes. We don't see anyone creeping up on these girls like the first one. We don't see the attacker. A lot of times I was saying, like, well, the killer seems to be teleporting all over the place. So maybe it's not one killer, maybe it's two. And that's how, the person's able to be in these multiple places at the same time. Because in the first scene, there was no way that he could have turned the breaker off when we just see him walk by her door, unless the breaker's behind her bedroom door, which is highly unlikely. So the movie continues, and it's really not hard to figure out who did it. Just looking at height and weight and proportions, you're like, clearly that's the person that's in the hoodie and the mask, because you can just look at them and see visually that they would fit it. The police showing up at the end without backup is another trope that we see all the time. Now, in this movie, they showed like 2 scenes of the main character, Nicole, boxing. So I kind of figured she was going to be able to defend herself. So they spend the last act of the film of her getting into a fight with him. And there's so many times where he should have been knocked out, or like she hit him with something and he just keeps coming. And then they have like 2 staging areas where I knew, okay, we know what's going to happen in this next. You see him, now I'm setting up the scene for you. You see him standing with his back to the water. It looks like he's going to drown her or shoot her and then throw her in the water. Either way, because of the mystery dealt with water, she was going in the water, but with his back to the water, I'm like, she can just kick him in the water, which is what happens. She ends up knocking him in the water, and he drops his gun. So what do you think she did? Do you think she, A, picked up the gun, or B, left the gun on the ground and ran, when clearly you don't know if he can swim or not? Just pushing him in the water doesn't mean he dies. He wasn't even flailing in the water. She just ran and left the gun behind. Another one of my pet peeves is when the killer's chasing somebody and they either think they killed the killer and they drop their weapon, and the killer's never dead. The killer comes back and they ain't even got a weapon. Or do what she did, not pick up the weapon and just run. Tired trope. And I knew exactly how it was going to end, because the police detective shows up, figures everything out, and is like, oh, I know what's happening. Instead of coming with backup, he comes by himself, because this is how they always do. They always end up coming by themselves. So you got the police detective running this way, you got her running in the direction of the police detective, and you got the killer coming behind her. So she ends up falling on the ground, and the killer has his gun on her, and he's saying his last one-liner. So what happens when the killer says their last one-liner as they're about to kill the main character? Pow. The detective comes in and saves the day. And we're left that the clues the killer was leaving behind spelled out always and forever. This was a stupid movie. Do not waste your money, and do not waste your time. This is the only way I would recommend watching this movie is if you're a person that loves bad movies and you like pointing out all of the horrible things that people do wrong. This might be the movie for you. Otherwise, if you want to see a good thriller, a good suspense movie, or even horror, you need to avoid this movie, because it's you've seen all of these things done better in other movies. There's no reason to watch a movie doing it wrong, versus actually just rewatching a movie that actually did it right. So that's the end of this review, this bad movie review. If you have seen Always and Forever already, or you still plan on seeing it, let me know what you thought in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next movie, in the next review.